For a long time, it was one of those cons I said, I'm going to go. Like back when it started and it was still just a table in the student union, I said, I'm going to go to this convention because my sister went to UWM and she kept saying, there's all these anime people, you should come by. And I knew people who were involved with it. And it didn't work out for a bunch of years. And then I think 3 years ago, something like that, I finally got to go. And it's a lot of fun. It's smaller than Anime Central, but in some ways that's nice. It's less lines, it's not as crowded, but it's still all the same kind of panel programming. You can actually get into the panels, which is really nice. You can actually walk into some of the main programming stuff without having to wait in line for 5 hours, which is, a change if you're used to the big cons. And or like Gen Con where you have to buy tickets in advance to everything. It's just more casual, it's more fun that way, and still got the same level of cosplay, and the same, you still get the chance to meet everybody and hang out. So ever since a couple years ago when I started going, I now make sure that that's on my schedule, and that I show up for at least a day. And I usually can get some people from the area to come, and we at least go to the rave or something. I had some great moments with all the Pokemon cosplayers. Like, there was a bit where I was talking to these 3 other girls that were also dressed as Pokemon, and we were just in the hallway, and suddenly someone dressed as Ash Ketchum starts walking towards us, and someone yells, "Oh my god, trainer!" And we scattered. Like it had been planned, because he had a Pokeball out, and we were like, we don't want to battle. Run! Hide in the grass. So we ran away, and I love moments like that at cons, because it's unplanned, but it's just so much fun.
I'm a costume designer.
Okay.
I just graduated with a degree in costume design and construction from Parkside, and I love costumes, and I'm also kind of a nerd, so it's kind of
Yeah, and
that way and everything.
I was in the Renaissance reenactment group in college, and we just I sort of fell into being the costume mistress. I didn't really know how to sew. I've only recently learned how to use a sewing machine at all. And
You're welcome.
yeah, thank you. I used to be terrified of them, and I sort of there was no one else to do it. And I was friends with the previous one, and she kind of left all the costuming stuff for the group in my dorm room, and suddenly I was in charge of teaching people how to sew and construct costumes, and I was one step ahead of them, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we started hanging out doing costume stuff for our local theater, and one year we were just like, let's do cosplay. Let's dress up this year and go to the con, and
let's actually take a couple days before the night before, or
Yeah.
that day, to throw a costume together, and
yeah.
so we'll get together and have brainstorming parties, and how can we go do this really cool thing? Well, or
So-
I saw these really cool curtains that are way cheaper than buying fabric in the store.
Yeah.
Let's make something out of them. She will be cosplaying as Yang, a fiery femme fatale,
Sort of, yeah.
kind of.
Which is a little different for me. I usually go for the more Lolita style costumes with what she's doing basically with, Ruby's sort of skirt and everything. This is more what I usually wear as far as costuming goes, and she usually wears something a bit different, and so we're kind of switching what we normally would
Which
do.
is really exciting.
That's, we're stepping out of our comfort zones a little bit with that.
As you may or may not know, fabric is ridiculously expensive, especially if you live in the Midwest, where we are technically in a fabric desert. So there are a lot of great ways around this. We actually, as you see, this beautiful piece of fabric is a curtain. So this is one of our tricks that we like to use. They are a great source of fabric, good length, and you can most likely buy them on sale and in bulk. So as you see in our cosplay, Ruby wears this beautiful long flowing cape, and I was out shopping the other day and found this beautiful curtain. So,
And we
this
love
will
using
be-
curtains for this sort of thing. We make a lot of capes out of curtains. We really do. And it's just, where else are you going to get this much material for that price?
So I think we'll probably
So-
have to use 3 panels to get the full
Probably.
length for it, but
Yeah.
it's a pretty good deal. It was just $10 for 2.5 yards.
This and bed sheets.
Bed
We
sheets,
make
yes.
a lot of clothing
You
out
can
of
make
bed sheets.
petticoats and chemises. If you ever do Renaissance reenactment, it's a good source of cotton fabric.
Yeah, and so many colors and everything else, and you can kind of just play with it. They're like $1 at the thrift store. So you take them home, you wash them, you dye them any way you like, and then you have all this fabric. It's amazing.
I've been pouring most of my thought into how I'm going to make her weapon. She carries this huge scythe, this guy. So I've been looking about trying to figure out how I can make something that scale that's not going to be ridiculously heavy. So I've been just figuring out different materials I can use. Actually ended up settling on... it's just regular insulators. It's called Great Stuff. It's gap fill. It's expanding foam, and it carves really easy, and it's nice and light. So,
She's carving. She's basically molding and carving the weapon. The
little
day she
pieces
bought
of
it, we had
foam
some fun
everywhere
playing with it.
all over the house.
Yeah, we were covered in little pieces of foam, and it was all over the basement floor, and it was, yeah.
It's really nice and light. And
Yeah. It is. I mean, like, I could lift the whole thing with, like, one hand just to carry it in here, and I had, like, the staff in the other.
There's another picture of it.
Yeah.
It's also a gun. Okay, mine's not going to be a gun. I'm not that cool, but
It's gonna look
a
like it
side
anyway.
gun thing for the show, and it does some major damage. What I'm doing is I'm fine-tuning the shape, because you not only see it straight on, but you also have to make sure that all the angles look well. Like, it's consistent through and through. Tricky part is getting a fine edge with this foam because it likes to round. So, oh, that came off. That's a thing. And then just trimming it up. Nice. The next layer I want to do a hard coat, because as you can see, they are those little indents that happen from the way that you spray it. But I want to rub the product over it to fill in the cracks, make it better, make it more solid, more substantial for you to paint it. And as we all know, with foam, it absorbs paint like crazy. So one of the tricky parts of working with this foam, it's hard to get a nice clean edge, especially with the foam core base about it. It's got that square edge. So what you do is you expand a bit of the product over the edge, and you just have to be very delicate because it is a little bit fragile. And you work on both sides to try to get a nice point. If you can't achieve that with the foam, I'm hoping that the next layer should be able to sharpen that up a little bit. As you can see, I already started on the other side with the product. This is just a little bit of fine-tuning. And I'm trying to achieve that on the top as well. So I was out and about, and I found these cool costume bullets. It was in a long chain, but they were like a brown color with a black belting. And for my cosplay, I do need them to be silver, like a really standout bright silver. So what I did was I just hit them with a coat or a coat and a half of silver spray paint, just as a base. But as you can see, it looks very flat right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking a little bit of acrylic paint, just a little bit of black acrylic paint, and you just do like a really quick wash over it with it, and that way it can have a chance to kind of get into the creases a bit. And after that, you wipe it off. It's nothing perfect or anything, but it gives like this antiquing, aged effect to it, and it gives it more depth. And so makes it a little bit more real looking.
Yeah, I think right now the big focus is on the weapon because that's new for us. We've never actually done cosplay with weapons. And
Yeah,
that's
our
every
biggest
time
medium is fabric.
every time we do a cosplay, we say, well, what can we do different this time? What new technique do we want to try? And that's also a big part of our decision-making process, because we could do the same kind of cosplay again and it would be easy for us. But we always say, well, this one is interesting because it's something I haven't tried before. And we knew that we wanted to do something with weapons this time around because we've never gotten to play with them. We never had a big prop, and we knew that we wanted to try some new techniques.